right, before we get to a Big Ten, a key Big Ten game coming up in the West on Saturday. If you want to get free plays sent right to your cell phone, just go to the jimfeist.com website, top right-hand corner. You see a place to put in a text number. You get free plays from Jim every single day right to your cell phone. Plus, make sure you sign up for Jim Feist's YouTube page. It's called Sports Betting. It's free. You just click on that link right above us. You get updates on free picks and videos from Jim and the gang from Las Vegas. Doesn't cost anything. All right, on Saturday, guys, we have Nebraska playing Wisconsin. What a huge Big Ten West game. You get three teams that are 4-1 in the Big Ten West, and three of them are meeting here. Wisconsin open 6-point favorite. You got two of the top 10 rushing teams in the country meeting. Nebraska 8-1 straight up, 6-3 against the spread. Their only loss was to Michigan State, 27-22, and you can make the argument that they've had kind of an easy schedule. They have a young quarterback in Tom Armstrong, only 13 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 53 completion percentage, so it's really a run-oriented team with the senior running back Abdullah, who's terrific. But here's the thing, they didn't play last year. They did play 2 years ago, and they played twice. In the first meeting, Nebraska won 30-27, and that was a game where Bo Pelini said afterwards, contrary to what you guys in the press think, I haven't forgotten how to coach defense and stop the run. Well, a few months later, they met in the Big Ten title game, and I guess he did forget to stop the run because Wisconsin won 70-31. They ran all over them. So, Sean, to the sophomores on this Nebraska team, do they remember that game?
I know Bo Pelini does. I don't know about anybody else. First of all, some numbers here. Wisconsin, and that open 6, they're the home team here, versus Nebraska. I haven't seen a total yet. It is a Big Ten West divisional game. It goes at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. ABC is going to carry the game. Again, the weather. A little shaky here. The weather in Madison, how about the high will be 30 degrees, and but partly sunny. Maybe a little snow near the end, but they're not calling for a blizzard or anything like that. So it won't be the greatest conditions in the world, but not impossible. And these guys are used to playing on this kind of stuff. Three teams are currently tied for first place in the Big Ten Western Division. These two guys in Minnesota, who, by the way, Minnesota is a home dog of 12.5 to Ohio State. And we all know what happened last week. Thank you, Sean. Thank you. Coming off of Ohio State, one of the few times I had them, and they actually helped me out a little bit. And they played a lot better than I thought they would. But that game with Minnesota and Ohio State isn't really so important to Minnesota unless they have national title aspirations, which I'm sure they don't, because Ohio State and Minnesota are in different divisions. But it would be a great, it's Minnesota's last home game. But guess who they have to play the next two times? They were on the road to these two guys who we're talking about here, which is Wisconsin and Nebraska, and that's a tough road to hoe. So let's take a look here. In my humble opinion, whatever it's worth, the winner in this game, the winner of the Nebraska-Wisconsin game, will go to the title game and probably play Ohio State. I just don't see it as any other way. And that game, by the way, will be in Indianapolis where the Colts play. And I can't ever get these stadiums, something Lucas Oil Stadium or something like that.
I think that's the latest one.
Indoor. Yeah. So let's see. Nebraska 8-1 straight up. You said 6-3 against the number. I've got 6-2-1, but that's close. But they're 3-0 against the number on the road. So they played pretty well. They're coming off a ho-hum non-covering 21-point home win over Purdue as a 22-point favorite. That's 2 weeks ago. And I think, I thought this line would be higher, like Wisconsin 7.5. And I think the trap is, if you want to call it that, is the fact that Nebraska is coming off a bye. So Pelini has 2 weeks to prepare. But does anybody remember the last time these two teams played?
Yes.
It was a 40-point win for Wisconsin. It wasn't even close. Something like 70-30, literally. Something like that.
Big Ten title game.
It was the Big Ten title. Thanks a lot. I knew there was a reason why I had you on the show. So here's Wisconsin, 7-2 straight up. Not all that great against the bookie, 4-4-1, but they've covered their last 3 games, and even though they're just 2-3 against the number at home, sometimes when I'm having trouble handicapping a game, I like to look at the 4 teams that are on the field. Each team's offense, each team's defense. And in my mind, and there's no doubt about that, Wisconsin not only played the much tougher schedule, but the best team on the field easily is that Wisconsin defense, plus they can rush the football. I don't remember exactly what the numbers are, but they run it for over like 310 yards a game. It's not the strongest play in the book as far as I'm concerned, but I think Whiskey just simply overpowers this team, wins it probably by around 17 late. So I would stay with Wisconsin on this particular game.
Well, Wisconsin has won 7 of the last 8 games after that opening game against LSU, where they probably should have won and gave it away. They've been playing pretty good since then, although it hasn't been a very difficult scheduling. They are the 5th-ranked rushing team in the country, 325 yards per game under Gary Anderson. And, Jeff, really, you got a pair of one-dimensional rushing offenses here, so who you see might have the edge?
I think Wisconsin. I thought they would be favored close to 8 or 9 too, just like Sean said. But both teams are 4-1 in the Big Ten West. So Wisconsin's won 4 in a row. Nebraska's won 3 in a row. Wisconsin defense leads the country in yards allowed, just 251 per game. They're 5th in rushing yards allowed, 94.3. 3rd in points allowed, 14.3. Both teams played relatively weak non-conference schedules, except for that LSU game when the Badgers blew a big lead to LSU. And the Badgers also had a bad loss at Northwestern, and that was mostly due to 4 interceptions. Nebraska's only really tough game was Michigan State, and they lost that one 27-22. Their star running back, Amir Abdullah, hurt his knee in the first quarter against Purdue and didn't return. He's listed for probable for this game. The Cornhuskers have had 2 weeks to prepare. Bo Pelini is only 8-7 against the spread with rest. In the win over Purdue on Saturday, Wisconsin averaged 6.3 yards per rush, allowed only 1 yard per carry. Melvin Gordon ran for 209 yards for 8.2 yards per carry. The last 3 games, the Badgers have won by a combined score of 123-23. They're clicking. They're running all cylinders. I think Nebraska. I'm taking Wisconsin. It's going to be my best bet on the show. Wisconsin minus the points, John.
Okay, I want to take a look at the total because I have one-dimensional teams. It's easier for defensive coordinators to figure out defensive game plans against them. And I don't care for the quarterbacks or the passing game. For the Badgers, Wisconsin quarterback Joel Stave, he didn't start the season as the starter, but the last 4 games he's been put in because Tanner McAvoy has had some trouble, under 58% completions, in fact, more picks than touchdowns. But Stave, just 5 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, only 51% completing, starting the last 5 games. So, again, it's a run-oriented team similar to Nebraska, but it's also a pair of very good defensive teams here. Wisconsin, they're 3rd in the country in points allowed, just 14.3 points per game. When Bo Pelini plays in November, 5-2-1 under the total. Also on the road with a team with a winning home record, he's 4-0 under the total. And then this the Wisconsin defense is also playing very well. And when Wisconsin wins the game, they're 13-5 under the total. The next game, you got a cold outdoor game here in Wisconsin. I'm looking at a defensive game, low scoring with so much at stake. All right, let's get to a pair of some best bets here, as well as what we have going on for the weekend. Sean, what do you got for us?
I mentioned earlier that there are 3 things that I've learned in this business about the weather, women, and then games like the one that we talked about with the Mississippi State-Alabama game. Don't try and force the thing, even though it's a marquee matchup. So if I'm going to stick my neck out there, might as well do it. I'm going to give you a game that nobody cares about. Nobody even knows these 2 teams are playing. It's not on national TV. I don't even know it's on TV anywhere. But it is Idaho -5, and they're at home to Troy, who I had last week. I had Troy last week, and that was a nice cover. They were 7-point favorite. Now they're on the road. Got to fly all the way. I think Troy is in Alabama. Is that right, Jeff?
That's
someplace
right.
in Alabama.
Yeah.
I got to fly all the way to cold Idaho. This is not a marquee matchup, but as far as the edges go, to me, it's the best play on the board. I thought the line would be higher. It's not going to be a blowout. Idaho will probably win this game by about 15 to 17, 18 points, but it will be steady. And in my opinion, the best bet on the card, even though we're doing this show very early in the week, the research I see says Idaho should win this game going away, give up the 5 points with Idaho in a non-marquee, very boring game.
Well, even these small conferences, they pay the same kind of money if the game runs.
It pays, right?
That's the key. All right, Jeff, NFL blockbuster you have coming up, plus your top total of the entire season. Where can people get that?
The NFL total of the year, a blockbuster, a 3-game college package. You get all that at jimfice.com. Plus, if you call LVSS at 866-575-8916, you're going to get 2 weeks of 5-star Players Edge winners in all sports, NBA, college basketball, college football, NFL. 2 weeks, $10, 1-866-575-8916.
All right, and Jim Fice, if you haven't been on these high roller online selections, where have you been? 5-0 run, including Sunday with the Arizona Cardinals. Jim has already spotted an early game on the Sunday card. It's available now at jimfice.com, along with 3-packs, plus NBA, hockey, and college basketball. That'll do it for the college football edition of Pro Line. We'll see you live from Las Vegas next week, and good luck with the games, everybody.